Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Jamie Neen with MiningWatch. I'm here in Ottawa on unceded, unsurrendered, that part's very important, Algonquin, Anishinaabe territory. And it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this webinar. And I'm going to start off, the theme of tonight is Communities First, the Future of Mining Justice. And this is our way of marking our wrapping up our 25th anniversary year and sharing a little bit of our perspectives and partnerships with everybody here. So, we're going to have a little bit of a panel discussion. So, I'm going to start off by introducing our, I don't want to say, not going to say keynote, but our opening act, our opening presenter, Donna Ashamuk. And then we're going to have a roundtable with our our panelists here, and we'll then open it up to uh, a question and answer session after that. So if people can hold their questions, feel free to drop comments and questions in the chat or the Q&A function in Zoom, but we will try to save the that discussion until we're done with the presentations. So it is my pleasure to introduce Donna Ashamuk. She is a AU Ininu Cree, as we say in English, community organizer for over 25 years. Donna is a member of the Cree Nation, affiliated with Kitchinmixib and Nunavut in Northwest Ontario. She is an auntie, a stepmom, grandmother, and an advocate for family, community, and land protection. She continues to collaborate with Indigenous organizations, communities, and networks on various autochthony initiatives. She is a member of the board of directors of MiningWatch Canada and also of Indigenous Climate Action and the Canary Research Institute on Mining, Environment, and Health. Donna is also a co-founder of the Kanawayanandan Daki Collective. So uh, please take it away, Donna.
MiningWatch, Jamie, thank you. Wajay, everyone. I want to thank you for being here. We are wrapping up MiningWatch Canada's 25th anniversary fundraising campaign, as Jamie mentioned, but it doesn't just end there. We are continuing in the next 25 years, and we would like to phase out the organization when we can make mining companies and the industry accountable to communities, to peoples, um, to the environment, not just in Canada, where a majority of the companies throughout the world are based here, but we also want to um, continue advocating. We want to support and sustain as much as we can. So the fundraising doesn't stop. It will continue until we are no longer needed as allies, as supporters, as advocates, because the ultimate vision is that we have clean air, we have clean water, we have clean homelands to raise healthy children, to support an environment, our kin, the homelands that we are in, and to uh, respect what we're given in this lifetime. Um, I want to thank each panelist for being here, the donors and supporters. Your contribution matters so much. And you will hear each of the speakers. Jamie, who is the moderator, will have enlightening questions, and looking forward to the responses from uh, our colleagues from around the world. And I also want to thank the interpreters and the technical team for the work that you're doing today. This is an important platform, and we want to continue to hear more from those who support MiningWatch. So I encourage further support. Uh, just very briefly, I don't have much time. I don't want to take up too much time. I do want to give, I guess, a small window of what is happening in um, Treaty 9, Northwestern Ontario, Northern Ontario. And as you know, like in many parts of Canada and the world, we are legislated. We are by colonial governments as Indigenous peoples, as people who want to support species who are being affected by mining. We want to ensure that there's protections, there's safety, there's an environment where children can enjoy um, species who are called at risk, that there's a chance to continue this life. Um, so when you hear sovereignty, when you hear sovereign acts, whether it's direct action, whether it's this, whether it's fundraising, whether it's raising awareness among young people, that's what we're doing right now out on the land. From the Attawapskat River, working with folks in Ishkandiga, the people of Attawapskat, they have formed a camp uh, in the midst of our homelands, the breathing lands here in Treaty 9. These are the lungs of the Northern Hemisphere, and there's a proposed mining in this part of the world called Ring of Fire, but we don't call it the Ring of Fire. These are where we sustain our lives. This is where we not only hunt and harvest medicines, we carry on this relationship that we have with the caribou, with the polar bear, with the trout, with a vast number of relatives that keep us alive. And this is what we want to continue to do as we head into a future that not only the colonial governments at the federal and provincial level, but also mining and other extractive industries, they think that they can come onto our homelands, and they think that legislation will do that. There has been no consultation. There has been no education whatsoever of what these bills are. The federal bill C5, the Canadian economy, and then you have the provincial act, another act. We've been legislated for many decades, and it's this federal provincial alliance that is currently going on throughout Canada. And I'm sure hearing from the brief bios and the work that you're all doing, Louis, Hortensia, Tita, a lot of this is coming down from colonial governments because they think that it's land that they can take and encourage, take on this appetite of feeding capitalism systems that don't support community, that don't support peoples on the ground who are ensuring that we survive, that we have something for our children and grandchildren. So at this point in time, you will hear what is going on in Northern Ontario with young people. There's a lot of education going on. There's a lot of anger. Like, how dare they think that they can come and contaminate the waters that support our livelihood? So the water that we directly drink from the lake, we still are able to drink from the lake this far north. And a lot of communities don't have access to clean drinking water. It does get contaminated. We are fortunate here in Kitchener-Inuit to drink water from the lake. We eat trout, caribou, moose. We are still able to harvest medicines. This is the kind of livelihood that we want to maintain for young people, for their children, generations that we have not yet met and that we will never meet. Our time will come, but we want to ensure that the work that MiningWatch Canada does, that we're able to do this for others, that we're able to provide not only education, because a lot of the heavy work is at the forefront. The work that our three panelists will speak about, this resonates throughout the world. And we have a responsibility to ensure support for each other, that we are able to hear each other's stories, strategies, campaigns. And I want to invite all of you to listen in to their experiences, their campaigns, but also the Indigenous people in Canada who are often left out, as it is being shown today, and as it's currently was shown at the COP30 in Belém, Brazil. Indigenous Climate Action is another organization. It's Indigenous led. Uh, we speak at the international forums, not just at the UN or COP30, but we reach out to others throughout the world, and we will be continuing to do that work. And this is something that MiningWatch Canada does already, in terms of reaching out to those in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, and to strengthen the ties with Indigenous people in Canada. I invite you to listen, tune in, join us as we work here in the northern hemisphere, ensuring that mining companies hear us loud and clear, as well as the colonial governments. This is not their land, and we have a responsibility to sustain each other's work. So again, thank you, everyone, for the work that you're doing. The donors and the supporters out there who help us with what we need to do. Please keep in contact with us. So Jamie, as one of the co-managers, does a lot of the work along with Rodrigue here in Canada. And we have other colleagues who obviously work internationally. We want to keep in touch. We want to hear your stories. We want to ensure that there are alliances. We're not a gatekeeper at all as an organization, MiningWatch Canada. We more or less are almost like a clearinghouse. We put out information, but we also connect. There are networks out there. So with that in mind, thank you so much for being here. And I will pass this over to Jamie. MiningWatch.
Miigwech Donna. Chimigwech. So I'm going to introduce our three panelists, and then, as Donna said, I'm going to ask them some questions, and we'll have rounds of responses to those questions. So first, we have Louis St-Hilaire. He's the president and founder of the Regroupement de Protection des Lacs de la Petite-Nation, the Petite-Nation Lake Protection Group. Spokesperson and founder of the Coalition Québécoise des Lacs Incompatibles avec l'activité minière, which is the Quebec Coalition of Lakes Incompatible with Mining Activities. And he was deeply involved in the referendum on Lomiko Metals' Loutre graphite mining project, in which citizens in 5 municipalities voted overwhelmingly against the mining project. Louis is also a member of the coordinating committee of the Quebec Meilleure Coalition. We have also from Ecuador, we have Hortensia Jagui, who is a representative of the Board of Potable Water Administrators of Victoria del Portete and Tarqui in Ecuador. These indigenous and campesino communities that form the organization are facing risks from Canadian mining companies in the Páramo de Quimsacocha, a high-altitude Andean wetland that provides water for tens of thousands of people and is essential for biodiversity conservation. Hortensia is also a member of the Quimsacocha Women's School of Agroecology, which promotes food sovereignty in the region. And we also have Pelinatita, or Tita Cara, from Tonga. She is a seasoned development practitioner and advocate with over 2 decades of experience in environmental policy, gender equity, and inclusive development. She is the former program manager at the Civil Society Forum of Tonga, which is the main civil society organization working to raise awareness about the impacts of deep-sea mining in Tonga. She holds a Master of Business Administration from the University of Canberra in Australia and is a proud mother of 4 daughters. Tita is known for her strategic advocacy, cross-sectoral collaboration, and unwavering commitment to sustainable development and social justice in Tonga and the Pacific region. So, welcome to all of you, and thank you very much for joining us. Now, and as we've said, I have some questions, and we'd like you to help us explore those questions. So I'm going to do them in two rounds, and there are a couple of questions in each segment. And we thought we'd start with sort of looking at where we are now and maybe a little bit of how we got here, but just how do you see things as we sit right now? The first question is, what key mining related issues is your organization currently addressing in your region or territory? And in relation to that, how has your organization been working with MiningWatch? And I'm going to turn, I think for this one, I'm going to turn first to Tita.
Thank you, Jamie. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for the elaborate introduction. I hope I will serve justice. My working time, I've been campaigning against deep sea mining since 2012. I think the current issue, after 13 years down the track, is that there is a lot of knowledge out there for the people. So the issue now is they, given the knowledge they have, that they're becoming more vocal and trying to hold the government into account. Unfortunately, you know, as the Diana has alluded to earlier, the government feeling that they have the total right to disregard um, the the voice of the people and the voice of the community. So the biggest issue that we have now is we just signed in August last year a revised contract with the metal company. And since Tonga is sponsoring the metal company, who just so happened to be registered as a Canadian company, we are feeling that, there is some accountability also from the Canadian government for allowing these monstrous industry to dictate to the region. Our poverty has been held as the trading resource. We're poor. Our economy depends so much on money that comes from overseas. There is a few trinkle here. At the beginning of 2012, when we started the discussion, they said they are going to give us so much money. They're going to build, a processing plant in Tonga, providing employment and scientists overseas. But now that they have got us right in the trap, they are, no longer providing those. They're not going to build a so-called plant or generate all those economic benefit. So, that's just a filler of, and I think that's a common understanding and feeling across the world. We're facing a lot of risk from liability from this contract. We're also looking at, the lack of accountability from the government, processing, making a decision without consulting the people. There's also an issue of the solidarity within the Pacific, because we are starting to divide because of this offer from this company. How do we work with MiningWatch? And this is something that I really need to acknowledge the benefit we have gained from working with MiningWatch. Since 2020, we have benefited a lot, not only in the legal advice, the networking, we have financial support to show up in international fora and make presentation. The the reference and the support in compiling letters that are accurate. The data is grounded on evidence. And having those were something I would not, it built my confidence to stand up proudly and actually defend my case and, speak out loudly in favor of different, whether domestic or otherwise. So that feeling of kinship with the MiningWatch started from the fact that we have shared issue or complaints and trying to protect our biodiversity, the land where our people depends on, and the right of my people to actually have access to environment that are free, air that are clean, and resources that are readily available for the livelihood of my people. So Jamie, I'll leave it there. I'll give space to the others. And thank you for the opportunity.
Lovely, thank you. I will now turn to Louis and ask you the same questions in terms of what the issues are that you are facing and how you've been able to work with MiningWatch.
Merci de l'invitation.
Thank you for this invitation. I'll make my presentation in French. For the last 7 years, we've been struggling against a mining project for graphite in the south of Quebec. We're about 90 minutes by car from the headquarters of MiningWatch in Ottawa, the same distance from Montreal. This is a project in the south of Quebec. They're in the exploration phase right now, and this project is presented as the 7th largest graphite mining project in development in the world. And it's subsidized by the Pentagon in the US. And you have to know that this entire southern region has a lot of graphite. It is used in batteries and more for military applications. We're about 1 hour from the only graphite mine in operation in North America, and we're about the same distance towards the east. There's a large project that was just accepted as in national interest, and it's subsidized by Canada's federal government and already has a Quebec subsidy. We're the ones who are the farthest to the south. There's very little mining that's been done in our region. People aren't familiar with the industry. And they could very easily accept the job creation story. But in 2020 and 2024, there's about 400% growth for graphite in the region, but we've been able to create an alliance of 5 municipalities in the region between 2020 and 2024, and we set up a citizens' referendum. The results of this referendum, which took place on August 30th this year, is that 95% of the population voted against the mine, and 60% of the people voted. We've never seen that kind of result. The population is completely against the project, and we're very much present in large national media. There are no institutional investors in that company. It's the name of it is Lomiko Metals, and the Quebec government announced that it wouldn't invest in that company, although it's investing in others. And we also succeeded in having support of the business community throughout the region. Despite that, the company is continuing to explore. Yesterday, they began sampling to come up with 250 tons of ore for analysis. That's what's happening with our resistance, but we haven't been able to stop the project yet. Our collaboration with MiningWatch, as I was saying, we weren't familiar with mining, and we needed MiningWatch. We needed their expertise right from the beginning. In 2019, it was Hugo Lapointe, who was our partner at that time. And Hugo came to meet with us and gave us all of MiningWatch's expertise. It was extremely important for us to get set up, the advice that we received, and the contact network that allowed us to have access to other projects. Those things were very determinant for us. They helped us financially as well. Since then, we've continued to work with Rodrigue, and we have all the legal advice on financing of the network has continued over 6 years. I think that we can say that without MiningWatch, we would have never been able to do what we were able to do very successfully. Thank you.
Merci, Louis.
Thank you, Louis,
for that wonderfully clear and concise and kind of flattering contribution. I think we have to give lots of credit to Louis and the people of Duhamel and the organizers and the community for that and the strong response that he spoke of, you know. So I would like to turn now to Hortensia again. If you could give us 5 or 6 minutes of your perspectives on what you're up against and how things have been working with us. Doña Hortensia.
Good evening to all the presenters. Thank you for this invitation. It's a source of pride for me to know that you are interested. It's a very important challenge. It's been 30 years that we've been fighting against these Canadian mining companies that have been working here in the Paramo. We have on the hills, we are being damaged with the exploration that they're conducting. Each company comes in and leaves toxic waste in our Paramos and the very sensitive areas. So our health and our lives are under attack. We're continually struggling against these transnational companies that have come to destroy our sources of water. I'd like to thank you very much for your organization help. You are taking into account our lives. I'm very happy because of that, and I can cry out loudly and say what I am feeling at the present time. This is a very difficult time for us. There is no way to solve these problems. These companies are very strongly armed, and they work with our national governments that want to destroy and exploit this very sensitive land and destroy, knowing these are the only sources of water for our city of Cuenca, and that's where the river flows from. And that's the water, our only potable water. And so it's difficult to continue this struggle. And in this historical times for us, it's not fun. It's very sad for us, for those of us who live in our communities. I belong to a small school of aqua ecology, and we are working together with, we do farming, and we also have a dairy project. All of this is very difficult for us. When they come to destroy us, we have been devastated, and with pollution. TERRAI is an organization that was also supported by MiningWatch. They came and did studies, and they said that it was absolutely sure that these operations were going to destroy our land, and there is that arsenic is one of the worst pollutants in our water. And there are a number of organizations have said that there will be a tremendous contamination, and we will be left without water. That is why we are carrying out these struggles. There have been consultations over the last 30 years, and the first one was in Portete, and it was rejected by the government. The second one in the city of Roden in 2019, and the great majority of people in that city said that they didn't want contamination in our páramos. There was another consultation in Cuenca in 2021, and 100% of people said that they wanted no mining in that area. We have been working and struggling against the Canadian mining companies, but the authorities and the mining companies have not paid attention to us.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Doña
Thank you
Hortensia.
very much, Doña
I think
Hortensia.
there's a theme emerging here about some of these issues, the way that people mobilize, but also the water that flows around us, that we drink, that runs through our veins, that makes up our bodies and provides the livelihoods, whether it's salt or fresh water, for so many people. And it's not for nothing that people focus on the water, and it is emblematic in so many struggles and so many communities. I want to turn to where things are going. What do we see in the future? And I'll mix it up and change the order around, but I want to ask you all again for, just a few minutes, 5 or 6 minutes, a short presentation or discussion of what you see as the main challenges ahead, in your struggle for mining justice, and how do you see the partnership with us, with MiningWatch? What is it that we need to be doing? How do we work together in the future? So I'm going to come back to Hortensia actually, and ask you, Doña Hortensia, if you could give us your perspectives on those questions.
Hablan sobre los desafíos. Claro, en realidad,
Yes,
los desafíos nuestros son
our challenges
bastante fuertes, son bastante
are
difíciles para
very
nosotros.
significant, very
Porque
difficult.
tanto el gobierno ecuatoriano como el
The
gobierno canadiense siempre
Ecuadorian
están
and
ellos de acuerdo.
Canadian
A
governments
nosotros, por ejemplo, las
always
personas que
agree.
estamos viviendo
For those of
alrededor de
us
los páramos,
who are
de los
living
que
near
servimos
the
de esta agua,
Paramos and use the
no
water,
somos tomados en cuenta para
they
nada,
don't take
definitivamente para
account
nada.
of
Nos
us
ignoran.
at all.
O
They
sea, todo
ignore us.
minimizan, dicen que no
They
va a haber
all
contaminación, que
minimize. They
vivimos
say there
pocas
won't be
personas, que somos
contamination, that there are not
insignificantes,
many
todo lo
of
pasan por
us.
alto.
They
Últimamente se hizo el quinto río
lately
de la marcha en la ciudad de Cuenca.
we had what
Es
we call the
algo
Fifth River March
bien
in
reconocido
Cuenca.
históricamente a nivel de todo el mundo.
Historically,
Pero aquí
throughout the world, it was
nuestro gobierno ecuatoriano
well known, but the
desconoce.
Ecuadorian
Dice que
government
eso es
didn't even know
política,
what
que
happened, and
igual
they
que el
just said that
gobierno
it
de
was
Canadá, la
politics.
embajada aquí en Canadá
Canadian
dice que es
government,
solamente
its
una
embassy,
política
has
de
say that
los
it's just
intereses
the
políticos de los que están al
political
frente de esta lucha.
interests who
Pero
are
no es
the people
así.
who are
Toda
directing
la
this
gente
struggle, but
al
it's not
ver
true.
que va a ser contaminada nuestras fuentes de
People,
agua,
people
hemos salido
will
a
see our
esta
water
marcha y
contaminated, and the people
continuamos
were
yéndonos
there in
a
that
los páramos.
march, and
Nos vamos
they
en el cual
continue
ya fuimos recriminados. Por
to come
ejemplo,
up to
están
the
ahorita 6
Paramas.
compañeros nuestros
There are 6
criminalizados
of
por
our
haber
compañeros
ido
who've
a
been
retirar la basura
criminalized
que se encuentra en este
because
páramo
they
ahorita,
removed
de lo que
the
ellos botan
trash
allí,
that was in the
las
Paramos.
heces, las orines, los
There,
plásticos,
there was
desechos oxidados.
plastics, there was all
Nosotros
sorts of
directamente
waste.
esa agua estamos tomando
That
y
is the
tenemos
water
que
that
ir
we
a
have to
retirar,
drink,
tenemos
and
que
we
ir
have to
a luchar,
remove
a
those
pedir que no
pollutants. We have
boten,
to
pero
struggle and ask them
somos
not to
ignorados
throw those
directamente.
things there, but
No
they
les
ignore us.
interesa. A ellos lo que único yo
They,
veo que les interesa es el
the only
bienestar
thing that they're
de ellos,
interested in is that their
los
own
dineros de
well-being
ellos. Eso es lo
and
que
the money that
únicamente a
they
ellos les
can make.
interesa.
That's the only thing that
Entonces,
they're interested in.
pero nosotros continuaremos
But
en la lucha.
we will
No,
continue to
no
struggle.
nos rendiremos. Pase lo que pase.
We
Y
will
gracias
not
por
give
la
up
ayuda
no
de
matter
ustedes,
what happens.
porque de una
Thank you
manera
very much
y de
for your
otra
help.
nos ha llegado a nosotros a fortalecernos esta
You have
gran
been able,
organización desde
your
Canadá, como son
your
la
wonderful
organización MiningWatch.
Canadian organization has helped us a great deal, and I'd like to
Muchas
thank
gracias,
my
doña
name.
Hortensia.
Thank you very much, Doña
I will
Hortensia.
turn to Louis, I think, and ask, the same questions where things are going. So yeah, if you would please. Ah, voilà.
Alors, je vous disais qu'on a eu
I would
un
say
certain succès contre
that we'd have a
compagnie,
certain
Lomiko
amount of
Metals,
success
et ce que
against
ça a produit,
the
c'est
company,
qu'on
and
on les a ralentis. Ils
we've
sont
been
pas
able to
arrêtés,
slow
ils
them
ont été
down. We
ralentis.
haven't been able to stop
Ça
them,
a
but they have been
ralenti évidemment, leur financement et leur
slowed
développement.
in their
La
financing
conséquence de
and
ça,
development.
c'est que ça
The
a
consequence of that
allongé notre lutte. Alors,
is
ça
that
fait
it
7
has
ans maintenant
lengthened our
qu'on
struggle. It's been
on
7
travaille
years
dessus.
now that we've been working on this issue.
On n'est plus seul.
We're not alone anymore.
municipalités étaient
The
mobilisées.
municipalities have
C'est même
been
eux
mobilized,
qui ont mis en
and
place le
they
comité
are even the
scientifique
ones that
pour
set up the
analyser
scientific
toutes les
committee
données de la
to
compagnie.
analyze
Et
the
ça
company's
nous a même
data,
amené à travailler
and
sur
it
des
even
alternatives
brought us to work
pour
on an
pour le développement
alternative
économique de cette
for the
région-là.
economic
Alors,
development of this
on
region.
n'est plus seul, mais
We're no longer
le combat
alone,
va durer encore
but
longtemps.
this
Puis
struggle will
notre
last for
principal
a long
challenge,
time
c'est de
into
durer.
the future. Our main challenge is
J'ai côtoyé beaucoup de gens
I've
qui
worked
sont
alongside many
impliqués
people
dans des luttes
who are involved
contre
in
l'industrie
the
minière.
struggles
Et
against
c'est
the
long,
mining industry. We know that
et
these are
beaucoup
long
de gens
and
tombés au combat.
difficult struggles, and many
Alors,
people
c'est
have
ça notre
fallen
principal
in
challenge,
this
parce que
combat. That's our main
le vent,
challenge.
on a le vent dans le dos,
We
ça va
have
bien,
the wind at our
mais
backs
c'est
right
loin
now.
d'être
Things
fini.
are going well, but the
Et
struggle is
personne
far
ne
from
me
over.
réunit, moi le premier. Alors, on s'attend à avoir
So we're
que ça va durer
expecting
encore au moins 4-5
that
ans
this will last for
pour
another
qu'on espère
4 or 5
gagner
years
définitivement cette
if we
lutte-là.
want to
Alors, notre
win
défi,
that
c'est de
struggle
durer.
definitively.
Comment on voit
So
l'évolution de notre partnership avec
how will our
MiningWatch?
partnership with MiningWatch
Ben,
evolve? Well,
faut comprendre le contexte
we have to
actuel. Le
understand the
contexte, c'est
current
que le course aux
situation.
minéraux s'accélère.
The
Les minéraux
race
critiques, les
for
minéraux
minerals, for critical minerals is
pour l'industrie
accelerating.
militaire,
For the
les
military
investissements
industry,
des
the investments
gouvernements
from
s'accélèrent
governments
là-dedans
are
aussi. Alors, on
accelerating
assiste
as well.
à une
So we are seeing
grande accélération. MiningWatch,
very fast acceleration.
ben, on en a
MiningWatch
besoin plus que jamais, puis on aurait
is
besoin
needed more than
de
ever,
MiningWatch
and we need
puisse
MiningWatch
accélérer aussi, qui a les ressources qu'il faut
to
pour
have the
accélérer.
necessary
On assiste
resources
plus
to
de grandes
accelerate as well.
les nouvelles mines. On assiste
It's not just new
on
mines
voit
that we're
apparaître
seeing now.
des
We're
nouvelles
also
régions minières.
seeing the
C'est
appearance of new mining
multitude de projets là,
regions with a whole bunch
sont
of
en train
projects
d'apparaître.
that
Alors,
are coming along.
on veut continuer, mais on
We
sait que
want to
MiningWatch
continue,
va être
but we know
obligé
that
de
MiningWatch
partager
will
son temps
have to
avec
share
plein de
its
projets.
time with
Alors, il y
all
a un
sorts
défi
of
pour
projects.
MiningWatch.
There's a
On veut,
challenge for
nous, monter un
MiningWatch
réseau de
to
très
show
bonne
us
collaboration avec
uh,
MiningWatch.
we have a
Mais
very good
il y a
collaboration
plein
with
d'autres
the
projets, il y a
network, with
de devoirs
MiningWatch, but there are a
séparés.
whole bunch of
Alors,
other
c'est un
projects
peu
that
là
you're
qu'il
going to have to
y
take
a
care
de
of.
l'inquiétude.
That's what
Et
we're
si
concerned about.
MiningWatch, essayons de voir là, si
Let's
MiningWatch
see
n'existait pas aujourd'hui,
if
s'il
MiningWatch
fallait
didn't
éclairer de
exist
toutes
now,
pièces.
would we have
Moi, je peux vous
to
dire, je suis très
create
impliqué dans le
something
mouvement
else? I'm
environnemental
very
au Québec. Je vois
involved in
aucune
the
autre
Quebec,
ressource
the environmental
peut aider.
movement, but I
Alors,
don't see any other
je pense
resource like
que
MiningWatch that could
il
help
y a un
us.
défi pour
There
nous
is
tous
a
là-dedans.
significant
Et
challenge for
on a
all of
plus que
us,
jamais besoin de MiningWatch.
and we need
Merci.
MiningWatch more than ever. Thank you.
Okay. Merci, Louis.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn now to Tita for this. If you could give us a few minutes of your perspectives, please.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And I, wish to applaud Luis for that very clear, articulated statement on the challenges that we are actually facing. I guess the bottom line is it doesn't matter where around the world you are. It just shows how closely interknitted that we are. You might be in Canada facing your own trouble, but in the region, in the Pacific, we're facing the same thing. And we are being haunted by the same greedy companies who will, change colors like an octopus if it suits the context. And if it means pumping a lot more money into their purse. Because we look at the shift of deep sea mining over the years, they changed the narrative. And that's the challenging that we are facing daily, is we need to keep up with the narrative. They will justify to the end if it means like improving their profit. They don't care who we are. We're a bunch of faceless people to them. Be at the end of the world or down in the Pacific, it's the same. They are people to exploit the resources to harvest. So that is a challenge that we are actually facing every single day, no matter where we are. But our interconnectivity by land, by sea, means that we are vulnerable to the same, threat, risk, and exploitation. So we're looking at, the challenge to actually improve global accountability. And that's why we need together. And as Lee said, we need MiningWatch more than ever, because they are the glue that link the north to the south, the west to the east. And, without their support, because it's not just financial. Dr. Reneke, I take my hat off for you. You know, you have been there from day one, supporting us in the technical component of things, the campaign materials, the public education awareness, you know, consolidating reports that we've written and make it acceptable in the academia as well as, you know, to surpass critique from the government. We need to legally expose these beasts in any form or shape that we can, and that's where MiningWatch comes in. We also need to understand the geopolitical positioning. You know, Luis alluded earlier to the militarization of minerals by superpowers, and we are caught in the middle. And the small islands like the Pacific, you know, are easy take for people who have money, and they're packed by, you know, powerful company who are vying for power and more money. You know, it's an easy. So yes, I think we need MiningWatch help us change the narrative. Let's change with them. You know, beat them at their own game. That most of them are international beasts from the islands. So we need the international sort of MiningWatch to slay the beast. Over to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Tita. Yeah. I mean, before going any further, you know, a couple more things are jumping out at me, and one of them is, you know, the role of government and whether that is within Canada, the provincial and federal governments, you know, paving the way in some cases literally for mining, and internationally, not only actively involved diplomatically supporting Canadian mining, but you know, in the way that we essentially provide a financial haven for mining companies, that these companies wouldn't be able to exist or operate without Canada, without the Canadian government, and without that support. And that's something, you know, that we've been fighting against, and trying to find ways to bring that under control now for 26 years. And you know, and it becomes clear when you see all of this about what happens on the ground, and you know what happens to communities because we allow this to happen, because we let them, you know, we've not been able to stop them. Which brings me to the other observation that I just wanted to put in, which is, you know, the the time and the energy and the toll that it takes on people year after year to keep fighting. And Louis talked about how, you know, we have some momentum, and you know, after 7 years we're not winning, but we're doing pretty well. You know, and I know that in Ecuador it has been longer than that. This is going back almost a couple of decades now, that this has been at the, you know, the struggle has been alive. And you know, it's something that is difficult. It's something that takes a lot of energy, and I just wanted to recognize that and say, you know, we understand this, and I think it's really important to recognize that, and honor the work that people do, that everyone does on their own part, and the effort that it takes, and as I say, that the toll that it takes on communities, on individuals, on organizations to keep pushing for something that, you know, we may be winning, we may win from time to time, we may be losing, um, and as Hortensia said, we're not giving up. So I want to turn it back to Mimi for a few minutes to talk about something else, which is our actual fundraising campaign for a couple of minutes, and then I hope we'll have a few minutes left for a little question and answer, a little discussion. So Mimi, back to you.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for passing it back to me. And I'll just say some very brief words here. So I just wanted to first thank our partners so much for sharing your experiences today and hearing directly from you guys about the risks you're facing, the organizing and the resistance that you're leading, and the persistence it takes to defend your lands and your rights is both grounding and humbling. And it reminds us all why this work matters and why its long-term solidarity is so essential. And so I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of our donors, supporters, and allies in this Zoom room and across MiningWatch's networks. Your commitment over the years has made it possible for us to stand with communities, challenge harmful mining policies, and build the partnerships that we celebrated today. So, as we conclude, I just wanted to share that this month marks the final stretch of our 25th anniversary campaign, and our goal is to raise $100,000. And thanks to your generosity, we're past halfway there, and we're very, very grateful for every contribution, every gesture of support that has helped us reach this point. Yeah, this milestone year has also pushed us to think about the future and what it means to sustain this work for the next 25 years, which is why we've launched a new program, which is our planned giving program. The need for long-term support is clear in the roundtable conversation we've had today. Mining struggles don't resolve in a year or two. They unfold over many years and often across generations. So in order for us to keep up this long-term work to transform both how mining decisions are made by advocating for stronger environmental assessments, real tailing safety standards, mandatory human rights and environmental due diligence, we also know that laws alone aren't enough. Communities need the organizing power to decide for themselves whether mining should happen, under what conditions, and how benefits are shared. And building that power takes time. And so, yeah, that's why we decided to launch this planned giving program to help ensure we can continue this steady, patient, and necessary work, supporting communities on the front lines and pushing for systemic change here in Canada. And that's part of the way that we and you can carry your commitment to justice into the future and ensure that while we're seeing this huge surge in mining that Louis mentioned in Canada and abroad, communities on the front lines will not stand alone. So I'll just briefly share my screen to show you where you can find more information about that. And then we'll pass on to the Q&A portion and then close off the webinar. So let me do that really quickly here. Share. There we go. Oh, and here is our donation page. You can find more information about our planned giving program and how to support down here under planned giving. And we kind of explain everything and how it works down there. So yeah, please take a look at the website and don't hesitate to reach out to Deanna if you have any questions. And with that, I will pass it back to Jamie.
Thanks, Mimi. That is Mimi Shafto. She is our communications coordinator. I just realized I don't think she was properly introduced, and I just wanted to correct that. So thank you for that, Mimi. Now, I have one question in the Q&A, which is from former board member Ken Lucart, who says, as a former MiningWatch board member for 10 years, thanks for the webinar. Proof, as always, of the necessity of MiningWatch and its method of work with mining-affected communities. In retirement, I am a member of a small Kairos community in Etobicoke, Toronto. Next spring, we hope to hold a forum that focuses on what government and industry calls the Ring of Fire that Donna alluded to in her opening. I will be in touch with you. That's a promise, not a threat. Jamie, I said that, not Ken. So Ken is going to be in touch with us to get a speaker for that, and I think the answer to that is absolutely. Bring it on. That's what we're here for. And I don't know, Donna, do you want to make a comment about the so-called Ring of Fire? I could talk about it for a long time. I'm sure you could too.
There is a strong resistance against this proposed mining project. It's the size of Germany, to give you an idea. Like the homelands are vast. The waterways are vast. They're like veins. If you look at a water map, there are so many watersheds going into the Arctic Ocean and into Lake Superior. And these are like highways. We still travel on the rivers, on the lakes, and the caribou still migrate. The wolves, the bears. It's sad to hear that polar bears are moving inland because they are being affected by the ice melting and breaking a lot faster. So now they have been hunting for the last 2 decades. They're going inland south. So we're seeing polar bears. We have been seeing polar bears since the 90s in Moose Moose Factory area, where I'm originally from, my homelands. So that gives you an idea that things are changing, and with the Ring of Fire, it is affecting how environmental assessments are being rolled out, the Endangered Species Act, and there has been no consultation with the Indigenous nations, from Mushkegowuk to Kitchen-Megus-Innuwag and further towards the Manitoba border. We're hearing ports in the Hudson and James Bay area. We're hearing of pipeline corridors. So it's not just mining for lithium or cobalt or copper, but there's a whole slew of extractive industry moving north. It's like with the so-called economic plans, Bill 5 and Bill C5, it's basically the colonial governments catering to extractive industry to go north. Mm-hmm. The Indigenous people won't say anything. They'll work with us, but it's open season. Well, I'm here to say that it's not happening. We will continue to not only resist, but we'll build the awareness with young people. A lot of folks are still out on the land and forming not just camps, but going back to their family territories, and we're here. So if you're looking for a speaker, I'm happy to find someone that can speak to this, whether they're from the north or they're living in the cities in the south. We can certainly find a speaker for you, Ken. MiningWatch.
Excellent, MiningWatch, Donna. And with that, I think we're reaching the top of the hour. When we said we would let everyone go, we want to do that. I want to thank Louis and Tita and Hortensia and Donna for your contributions. I think Donna just wrapped it up with a very nice statement of how we change that narrative. And each of you have given us some really concrete examples of what that means on the ground, what that means in your communities, what that means to the land and the water. And I think that is our challenge, but it is also our strength, and that's what we're here to do. So thank you all. Thank you everyone who came, everyone who's participated, and very much thank you to our panelists here tonight.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. MiningWatch, take care.
Good night.